Hello and welcome to the channel. With the launch of the winged line patch have been some interesting additions to the US roster, as well as a big change to the meta of top tier. One of the new US top tier aircraft that was released with the patch is the Republic F105 Thunderchief, infamously nicknamed the lead sled, squat bomber, or as more commonly known, the THUD. I've spent the afternoon unlocking it. It's fairly cheap at 190,000 RP. It sits at 9.7, so I'm confident that it'll be well placed to face any threat at or below its BR, but in an up tier it may need to be flown strategically to have any success. Now it looks like the first match we've also got Vietnam, the new Air RB map, which is basically an import from Sim EC. So this will be a pretty authentic start to my experience in the F105. Very nice. Now the F105 was designed as a fast penetration nuclear bomber, single seat nuclear bomber. And when it entered service in 1958, it was the largest single-seat, single-engined combat aircraft in history. It was capable of carrying approximately 6,000 kilos worth of ordnance, including missiles. It's capable of doing Mach 1 at sea level and Mach 2.1 at 10,000 meters. So its mission was to get in fast, get its payload, and get out. Now it didn't have a lot of success, and there are a few factors that contributed to that. Out of the 830 or so that were produced, nearly 450 were lost, and only 60 of those were due to pilot error or operational losses. The rest were actual confirmed kills. And at the start of the Vietnam conflict, it was the primary attacker, and it was sent into some pretty hairy situations. One of the ridge lines that led into the city of Hanoi, where a lot of the bombing missions took place for the THUD, was known as THUD Ridge, and MiGs were known to patrol along that ridge line, waiting for THUDs on the return home, who were low on fuel and tired or damaged already. And for the THUDs to make it from Da Nang Air Base to their bombing missions in the north of Vietnam, it did require aerial refueling, which also left them to be very vulnerable to interception or interdiction. Now, as you've probably noticed, this map is massive. Each of the grid squares is about 32 kilometers, so if you get this map, or the equivalent Afghan map, which I haven't seen yet, make sure you take full fuel. And you really need to consider your fuel use, because it's a very real possibility that you can't make it home in this mode. In the few games of it that I have played, I haven't played it in the THUD yet, but I played it in other jets, afterburner management was extremely important, and you needed to set yourself a priority at the start of the mission. What are you going to do? Are you going to head to a certain grid square and patrol it, or are you going to run attack on the local columns, etc., and let the mission evolve from there? I found that you're able to use the strengths of your aircraft and the weaknesses of your opponents because you have space, and that's exactly what we've needed in top tier for a long time. I really hope that they can modify all the maps to be like this, or at least a good portion of them, because I've had some really fun fights. I'll probably upload some of those in the coming days, but if you do get the chance, play Air RB above rank 7.0 is where you'll start to see this map. And the best thing about it is you can spend your time working an objective without the risk of dying to a furball of death before you've even got your bearings. In this map, it seems to be that if you put yourself in a bad position, it's in no one's fault but your own. So here we go, it's coming up onto our first bombing target. Deep in enemy lines. Just drop them now and hit the burners. Go down into the valley. It seems like a full bomb load for a stock THUD is not quite good enough to take out a full base. But I did notice that if you don't bring missiles, you would have an extra 2 bombs on those outside pylons, so that might be something to consider. I don't see the AIM-9Bs being super useful, but we'll see. So with that bombing rundown, now, just a second while I ask my friend to destroy the base. Please destroy it. So we're just going to light the burner and we're going to head home. As an attacker, that should always be your priority. Do the mission and get home. And attack any targets of opportunity on the way home, but your ultimate priority is to get home. I find you'll have a more enjoyable experience in an attacker if that's what you prioritize. Your life. At least in my experience. Alright, we have our first bogeys. Looks like a Yak 38 and an SU-7. So I'll try and get some altitude so I've got some room to work with in case he's got friends. Plus I can reach a higher top speed. Now the F105 should on paper be able to be as fast as the F4. It won't get there as fast, but it should be in the long run. You're not a sprinter, but it does have good low speed acceleration. So I'm going to head over towards my allies as I make my way back towards the base. Just to see if I can't take a target of opportunity or help a friend in need. At least be semi-useful to a team effort. Now, playing in a heavy attacker like this, really need to concentrate on shoot and scoot. Don't get caught up in a turn fight. Keep the energy advantage. As you can see, we're just about to push 1,500 kilometers an hour. Which I think is probably as fast as I've ever been in a RB match. Certainly see you being able to push Mark II on this map. The radar seems a bit finicky. I'm not sure it's suited for actual air tracking. Give it a test on this target. Can't seem to get a lock on him, so I'm assuming it's not an air search radar. A track radar. Okay, so here's our first real interception. So we'll go head on and then run for our lives. It's ironic that as we cross the... Whoa, watch out. Oh, taking a hit. Now this thing has ammunition to spare, so don't hesitate to spray everybody and intimidate them out of head-on. And the Vulcan, you should be... Whoa, we've got a missile. Fortunately, I don't think that was an R60. It might be just a stock MiG-21. Now you don't have flare... Oh, there's another one. And that yak's gone down. Now this MiG is fast. Oh dear. He's going to catch me as long as he doesn't launch another missile before I get to this mountain line. Some high stakes here and THUD Ridge. I'm sorry, he must be out of missiles, so he must be stock. He's launched 2 missiles at me. Here he comes. I want to bleed his energy. Him being a Delta Wing, I'm going to initiate a rate fight and try and bleed his energy enough to sprint away. And there we go. So he's had to pull a high aspect. He's lost a lot of speed in that climb. As long as I stay outside of his... Oh, he's made a turn. If you can, always try and capitalize on an enemy that retreats. They don't always expect you to turn back in on them. Let's see if we can get some pot shots off on him. Come here, boy. Got you. Now, like I said to you before, I'm not going to stay and fight this guy. I've shown him that I'm not to be trifled with, so we're going to boot it and scoot it before his friends come. And as I said before, this is a... Oh dear. Just going to notch it just in case. And we need to get back on the right heading. Okay, so I'm going to turn into them. Take some pot shots. And I want to turn towards the MiG-17 because he's the slowest one. That means the MiG-19 will have a longer turn radius to get around behind me. And I just need to belt it on the floor. I've only got... Oh dear, I've got 2 minutes fuel left. That's not a good sign. We need to get Supersonic and out of the AO. I don't think I have enough fuel to make that, but I need to get away from this 17. Once I get to about 1100, he won't be able to keep up. Throttle off. 1 minute fuel left. I'm way past bingo fuel now. It's actually been a high stakes mission at the end. Looks like the MiG's turning off. He knows he can't catch me in a straight line. Fortunately, he doesn't know I'm about to run on fumes. So there's no team left, it's just me and another F105. – 26 seconds of fuel. Dear. –30 kilometers. Throttling down, too late for that. Try and grab some altitude. Good rule of thumb is you want to be at least 1 kilometer high for every 10 kilometers you want to glide. Although I don't know if that rule's true for a 25-ton aircraft. We're going to burn out the rest of the gas and flame out. That is not a sound you want to hear in a supersonic aircraft. Okay. Now your first concern when you are gliding is to find the airfield. Keep as level as possible. My altitude and speed are dropping at a steady rate, so I'll keep this angle of approach. You want to be as gentle as you can when you're turning in. Look at this video. Now I'm giving a tutorial on gliding. Oh dear. Chat. I love you, chat, sometimes. The irony of chat. That is the question. Can you glide a 30-ton THUD 34 kilometers? Still got a decent airspeed. I can afford to nose down now. In fact, I probably would have made it another kilometer or so. So the answer is yes. If I mess up now, it's all on me. That's an interesting air brake. Alright, go flaps. Gear down. Still a bit fast. And wheels down. That turned out to be pretty eventful despite the lull in action at the start. Cannot complain about that. Question is, do we go again? For me, that's never a question, of course. So I relaunched, but I wasn't going to show you all that rambling. This is post-commentary. Basically just went and committed suicide on the nearest enemy because we only had a couple of minutes left in the game. Although I must admit it wasn't intentional suicide. I wasn't expecting this little draken to get me. But there you go. GG for everyone involved. So a 20-minute game with 94% activity ended up being quite profitable. Now that's before the match had even ended. I ended up earning approximately 65,000 plus all of the RP involved with that. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you've enjoyed that, and we'll see you next time. Commander Tyrael, out.